Welcome to another exciting episode of Kevjet, the podcast.
My given name at birth was Stuart.
In this groundbreaking episode, we delve deep into the lives of Sal and Clare, two extraordinary individuals who've defied societal norms and embarked on a transformative journey towards authenticity.
The 4-year-old Stuart knew at 4 years old, very, very quickly, that things were not as they should be. Everything from the friends I had, the interests I had, the toys I played with.
Both born male, both loving husbands and devoted fathers, but today they stand proudly as women in a beautiful, loving, lesbian relationship.
You do things that society tells you to do. You hit the milestone. Get a job, you get married, you have kids. And of course, all the time doing that, you feel like a fraud. It eats away at you. Every single day, every moment of every day, I can't even describe it. For me, it was every waking minute of every waking day was taken over by thoughts that things are not right. I've got the wrong body. I've got the mind that matches, but it's the wrong body.
We discuss trans women using public toilets.
The thing is, if I need to go for a pee, I'd go for a pee in the ladies and that's end off. I have a fanny. Yeah, I'd go for a pee in the ladies. I think it's quite a sad place. I think gender-neutral toilets have a place, but then I don't think they have a place in some places. The design of them, for example, has got to be right.
But when you first start to transition, that is one of the most terrifying things, going into the ladies' bathroom for the first time. You think everything that, everything you've heard, you think it's going to happen to you. Somebody's going to be confronted, you're going to get attacked or choked out, police are going to get called. But in actual fact, everybody's just going in there to do the same thing.
I ask all the questions we all want to know but are afraid to ask, including, why was it so important for you to transition at the age 49?
It eats away at you every waking minute of every waking day. And I found myself at 49 years old in such a dark place that I'd actually written letters to the kids. It was one thing that actually stopped me. I was actually at the lakeside, in fact, and had every intention of driving the car into the lake. If I died that night, they would bury me with a headstone that said, "Here lie the mortal remains of Stuart Howells. He was a good guy." I thought, when my time comes, I can't bear the thought of being buried with a headstone that says, "He was a good guy." Sorry, it's just got to be right.
Join me for this extraordinary episode as we celebrate the resilience and courage of two inspiring trans women and embark on a journey of understanding, acceptance, and empowerment. Welcome to Kevjet, the podcast, Sal and Claire. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. We've been trying to arrange this, and the stars have aligned, and here we are.
It certainly have.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Great.
It took some doing, but yeah, we're here.
I don't think I'm wrong in saying you were a bit nervous about this.
I wouldn't say nervous. There was somebody in my life who I'd really loved to have been part of it, but she works away quite often, and it just wasn't a big. It's actually trying to nail her down to a date and a time. It's impossible, but it's okay.
I'm a bit nervous, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
No need to be nervous. Welcome, Sal. Tell me about the 4-year-old Sal.
Yeah. The 4-year-old Sal knew very, very quickly at 4 years old that Sal, let me try to explain it differently. My given name at birth was Stuart. And the 4-year-old Stuart knew at 4 years old very, very quickly that things were not as they should be. Everything from the friends I had, the interests I had, the toys I played with. My earliest memories, I think, were looking through my mum's catalogue, and they had, in the UK, we used to have mail order catalogues, and there was Littlewoods and Marshall Ward and things, and my mum had Marshall Ward. And I remember looking through at 4 years old and thinking, why the hell have all these girls got 500 pages of every colour, design, cut and shape? And the boys have got 10 pages of grey, blue, black, brown, shapeless things. and I think they are my really, really my earliest memories. And I think,
I can remember doing the same.
I can actually look back and think, I knew at 4 years old. I didn't have the words at 4 years old.
And do you want to just explain where you were brought up as well?
Yeah, I was brought in. I was born in Wales in a little mining town, an industrial town called Llanelli, and I grew up in an era when you didn't discuss how you felt. You certainly couldn't be openly gay. To be trans was unheard of. And of course, he didn't have the internet. He didn't have the ability to go and research things. You couldn't rock up to the local library and have a look at the Encyclopedia Britannica and endocrine interventions for trans women. The information didn't exist. And if you'd gone to the GP and if you'd told anyone, it would have been beaten out of you. And, so you learn very, very quickly to repress those feelings.
And what was your relationship with your parents? Were they open-minded with certain subjects?
No, not at all. I was the youngest of 6, and I grew up in a household where Dad ruled the world. Dad he ruled with a rod of iron. Mum sort of kowtowed to him because he was the boss. I grew up with arguments. I remember lying in bed at night waiting for my dad to come home from work. I'd hear the motorbike coming up the back lane, knew the pattern that the headlight would make on the ceiling, and think, here we go, wait for the arguments. And of course, within 10 minutes, they'd be arguing. And, well, as a 6-year-old, how do you explain how you feel when all you can hear is arguments going on downstairs anyway? So you learn to very, very quickly repress things, and you put it to the back of your mind. You do things that society tells you to do. You hit the milestones, get a job, you get married, you have kids. And of course, all the time doing that, you feel like a fraud. It eats away at you every single day, every moment of every day. I can't describe it. For me, it was every waking minute of every waking day was taken over by thoughts that things are not right. I've got the wrong body. I've got the mind that matches, but it's the wrong body. September 2015. So where are we now? 2023, 8 years ago. Yeah, I was 49, in fact. I got hideously drunk with my best friend, Lorna. We got drunker than you can ever imagine, drunk. I spilled out anyway, and I said, Lorna, I said, I'm trans. And she said, no. She said, I've been trying to tell you for years that I know, but you're too thick to pick up. She said, I could tell from the way you sat, from the way you held your knee, from the way your mannerisms, from everything you did that you were no. And I thought, well, at that point, the secret is out. It's done. So that was it. I decided at that point in time, it was the 2nd of September 2015. That no matter what happened in my life from that point on, nothing would ever make me feel the way I had that night.
And just to our listeners, you were married with children at that point.
Yeah, I was married with 4 children. Yeah.
So that is a hugely scary decision to make and say out loud.
Yeah. You think at the time my youngest daughter was 7, and I think, how on earth do you explain that to your kids, to your wife, to your children, to your colleagues, to your friends? And I think, you get all these doubts go through your mind. Will I have to quit my job? Will I have to move? Will my marriage end? Will I ever see the kids again? It's a very, very scary thing. But I think at that moment in time, as I keep referring back to the 2nd to the 9th, 2015, and that was the time when I hit my rock bottom, and the climb back started.
It was a pivotal moment, wasn't it?
It was. It was coming out day, and that was it. There was no going back. The secret is out. The cat is out of the bag, and there was no going back.
So just to move back a little bit, like you said, you hit all the milestones as expected. You became a husband.
Yeah.
You had 4 children, a career. You were living the life that we're sort of all told to live at that time.
Yeah, it's the life that society tells you need to live.
That's right. But the whole time, that you feel like a fraud is what you've said.
Yeah.
So how are you getting through the births of your children and all your anniversary? How are you getting through all of that? And
I think I had to put it to the back of my mind. I just have to compartmentalize. This is the real me. Everything before was a lie. Yeah. You can describe it as being an actor, maybe in a play, in that the part I played before I transitioned was a very, very good actor playing a role. Yeah. But I was playing the role of somebody else. It wasn't me. And so you learn to put things to the back of your mind and you lock them away, I suppose. And you just have to plod along the best you can. But of course, in between plodding along the best you can, there's always that thought. And it never goes away, ever, ever, ever goes away. And I'm thinking, something isn't right, something isn't right. And you wake up in the morning and you have the same thoughts. And you go to bed at night, you have the same thoughts. And I think you've got to do something about this. You know, if you don't do something, you're going to die. For me, absolutely without any doubt, it was do or die. I'm glad to say I'm still here.
we're all very glad to say you're still here. Just tell me what happened when you woke up the next day after your drunk night with Lorna. You had told her you're trans. The next day you have to wake up and you have to deal with that. So what's the next step?
I actually sort of didn't do anything, I think, for about 3 months.
Okay.
It was enough, I think, that somebody knew. And Lorna, in fact, said I'll never sort of forget the words. It wasn't the, wow, what are you going to do about it? It's, wow, what are we going to do about it? You see? And
Wow.
I think the first move, probably, I think I came out in September and I changed my name by deed poll the following April. So I think it was everything else between September and April was little steps just to prepare myself for what was to come. And then when I did the deed poll to change my name, I realized just how many places your data is held. You know, it's not just bank accounts, it's everything from PayPal to eBay to Amazon to the car tax to the DVLA to your driver license, you name it. I think I changed my name in 28 places and then found another 14 I missed. I did the deed poll and changed my name, and Sal was born. And Sal came from a very, very sort of specific place. It's do you remember a band called Classics Nouveau?
I do.
With Sal Solo was the lead singer. Well, Classics Nouveau sang a song that was called The End, or Is It the Beginning? So that was very, very apt. It was is it the end? Or is it the beginning? Well, for me, it was the beginning of my life. And so Sal was after Sal Solo.
It's a new birthday.
Yeah.
Do you celebrate that day?
We do, yeah. We celebrate every year, coming out day. There's also so many other milestones to celebrate as well. You know, Claire's first anniversary was this week.
29th.
Yeah. And if you know to call it the fan anniversary.
I did.
Anniversary, yeah, because Claire had her surgery.
29th of September last year at Nuffield in Brighton.
I was the first fanny of the new year in London.
Well, if you were going to have it, it was going to be a big one.
It's going to be in style, wasn't it?
Yeah. Maybe a big one wasn't the right word.
Maybe we shouldn't go there.
Well, there's no filters on this podcast.
They did a grand job.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic job.
Amazing.
Despite what you may hear, there's absolutely no pain involved. We've both had such an easy recovery from it.
So that is the one thing that everybody does hear, that it's the most painful surgery that somebody could have.
Absolutely not. Obviously, you're under general anaesthetic, so you had epidural with yours.
Yeah.
And when you wake up, you're all padded. And for me and for Sal as well, there's absolutely no pain. He put me on some tablets. I thought, oh, there must be strong painkillers. And he said, well, no, it's just paracetamol. So you might as well take them off because they're not really doing much.
You know, on day 3, I was actually walking down to M&S Coffee at St. George's Hospital in Tooting. Day 5, I was actually dancing around the room. You'd think the pain, that you'd experience a lot of pain, because let's be honest, they're taking something that was previously out and turning something now in. And you think it's a very, very sensitive area. But, I can't speak for everybody, but my experience was that the pain is minimal. Discomfort, maybe a little.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I think the elation, because it's finally done, takes over from any kind of pain that you might be suffering anyway, because you think it's done. You've waited all your life for this to be put right.
So that uncomfort is not comparable to the pain that you were feeling inside?
Not remotely, no.
Who was the first person you had the conversation with in your family?
It was my youngest daughter, Erin. We were actually in Asda's, and she was looking at dresses for the school disco at 7 years old. She sort of fluttered her eyelashes and said, "Oh, can I have that one?" And I said, "Oh, I like that one as well." And she just turned around and said, "Oh, for goodness sakes, if you like it, buy the bloody thing." So, well, that is it, really. That was the extent of the conversation. It didn't need any.
Wow. And how did the conversation go with your wife?
Not very well.
Did she not suspect it?
Not very well at all. We got divorced. She knew to some extent. She'd known for some years my feelings, but I don't think that she could ever. I don't think anybody really could ever sort of understand just how deep those feelings go, and how difficult they are to cope with.
How many years were the two of you married?
27 years. Might be 28. But but actually now my ex-wife and I are actually on very good terms.
That was my next question.
Yeah, we weren't for a long time. For a long time we tolerated each other, but recently, isn't it? In the last month or so, we're actually on really, really good terms. She comes up to the house for coffee. The house shared care with the kids.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fab.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was one of my big questions I couldn't wait to ask you, to be honest. How do you think she's going to feel about you doing a podcast about your story?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join us each week on the Well Beyond Medicine podcast as we explore the 80% of child health impacts that occur outside the doctor's office. Listen and subscribe at nemourswellbeyond.org, where you'll hear pediatric experts, researchers, and policymakers from around the world discussing ways they are revolutionizing children's health. I'm your host, Carol Vassar. Let's go.
Let's go. Well beyond medicine.
I hope she listened, maybe. I don't know whether she will.
Do you think there's anything that you'll say that she doesn't already know?
No. I think I'm the openest of open books. She will know. Of course, having been there firsthand, she'd really, it'll be fine.
And are you completely aware of her feelings throughout this whole process?
Oh, goodness, yeah. I would be incredibly stupid to think that her anger and bitterness towards me stems from the fact that the person she married is gone, and the life that maybe she thought she had is gone. And let's be honest, when somebody transitions, there are people who will get hurt. It's like when somebody's gay and they maybe come out to be in a heterosexual marriage for 20 years and they come out as gay after 20 years. Well, the person that the other one married has gone. The life that you thought you were going to have is gone. It's the same as when you're trans.
It's quite a selfish thing because anybody outside of it doesn't know what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's something. It's not light to have. You have to do it.
You have to do it
to survive.
Yeah. It is literally do or die. And yes, I say people will get hurt, people will be bitter, people will be angry. And it happens in a lot of relationships where somebody's gay or somebody's trans and they come out. But unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Eventually, things come good. If you wait long enough, everything comes good in the end. You just have to wait it out.
Can you explain what the process is? Because it's not something you don't just ring the GP and say, book me into this appointment. But I have to have this surgery to change my life. There is such a long process, isn't there?
I was in the system for 7 years. The process in Wales is very slightly different to England, in that you see the GP who will refer you for psychiatric evaluation. Now, years ago, the World Health Organization, WHO, classed being trans as a mental disorder. That was taken off the diagnostic criteria many, many years ago. Okay, it's not classed as a mental health condition. Even if it was, it's fine, but it's not. But in Wales, you still have to go for psychiatric evaluation. Okay, so then the psychiatrist or psychologist will make the diagnosis, right back to the GP, who will make the referral to a gender clinic. And up until 2 years ago, all patients from Wales went to London routinely. Okay, now we have a gender clinic in Wales, which is fab. But of course, the process then is that you have to have, if you're referred to London, you have to have 3 different opinions. So in one, you'd wait for 2 years for your first appointment, and then they would write an opinion that this patient indeed does suffer with, and then about a year later you have another appointment and you see another specialist in a different field, and they will also form an opinion, and that opinion, of course, needs to match. And then in London, you have a third opinion. You see, so over the years, you have repeated trips up to the capital.
Did you feel that was a form of torture?
Yes.
Did you feel that you could be
much.
denied?
Yeah. I think in total, on my path to surgery, I had 27 appointments in London. When you think of the amount of fuel, train fares, hotel fees, meals, parking charges, and they all add up, time off work, then I think I probably would have spent about 20,000.
And that's just appointments.
Just an appointment. Yeah.
Wow.
So my route was slightly different because I living in England at the time, so I went through the Tavistock and Portland GIC, which is in London. So I was referred there in December 2017. I had my first appointment in May 2022, last year. So we're talking 4.5 years for first appointment.
Yeah.
I've got my second appointment in later this month. So over a year, nearly a year and a half later.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, it's too late. You've had your surgery.
It's too late. But I had to,
there's no going back.
I was in a fortunate position that I'd been made redundant from a job that I had for 23 years. So I got a really big redundancy payout, and I was able to set some of that aside to pay for my surgery private.
Sure.
There's no way I was going to wait for the GIC to come forward. I'd be still waiting now.
You would.
Waiting for another 2 or 3 years.
Yours was actually quite straightforward, I think, wasn't it?
It was,
But then COVID came along.
Yeah. Well, I had my first appointment at the Nuffield that was in December 2020.
2020, you were up in Harrow for the birthday party.
Yeah,
I turned 40, and then look what happened.
And we were discussing, weren't we, in the pub about this new virus coming in China. Yeah.
That's right.
It won't come to much.
So my
surprise.
Wrong.
So my first appointment was in December 2019, and saw the consultant down in Brighton. By this time, my consultant, who I'd seen then, had retired. And sadly, a few months later, passed away.
And the same happened to me. See, is that my surgeon, Dr. Morley, Mr. Morley, he retired midway through COVID.
Yeah,
and I thought, you just go from bad to worse.
Yeah. So I saw the new consultant, Mr. Coker, and he said, "Yeah, you're ready now. We can sort out booking you in."
Yeah.
And so this last year, September 29th last year, I was having my surgery.
Wow.
The surgery is very similar to what Sal had, but the aftercare was very different.
Yeah, it's slightly different, wasn't it?
I was flat on my back for 3 days. I wasn't allowed to move.
And Sal's getting up dancing.
And she's getting up dancing.
I was actually buying coffee at M&S on stairs on day 3.
The thing was,
and I wasn't required to lay flat on my back for 3 days. I was encouraged to be up and walking. And in fact, I was up and walking on day 2. By day 3, because I was on a normal diet, I'd done what they wanted me to do.
Of course.
Yeah, the one thing nurses want you to do. Yeah, and
It's amazing. And it was the same surgery, exactly the same,
Yeah,
same procedure.
Yeah, I think there's one extra stitch that they do.
I had that you didn't have.
Yeah, you have. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's exactly the same surgery.
Same outcome, same surgery. Yeah. So we both are possessors of very, very fine vaginas.
Designer.
Designer.
Vaginas,
Absolutely designer vaginas.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
They look and react and feel exactly the same way as any other woman. And to the point, before anybody asked the question, yes, you can even orgasm.
So I was going to ask the question, actually.
Week 17 to the day.
Quite a bit longer for me.
Yeah, week 17. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But yes, it looks like, feels like, reacts to exactly the same as anybody else. And they've done a fantastic job.
So, okay. So I'm going to skip questions because we've kind of moved on, but I'm going to go back eventually.
Yay.
So talking about looks feels exactly the same as it should.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you look in the mirror?
Elated. You know, when I came around from surgery, bear in mind, with my surgery, I'd been cancelled 4 times. Then they found out there was another unconnected surgery I had to have before they could do the main surgery. NHS Wales and NHS England couldn't talk to each other. They couldn't decide who was going to pay. So I paid privately for one, which was the key really to unlock the main act. When I came around from surgery and woke up, the first thing I did is actually peep underneath the blankets. I could see that there was a big pressure dressing from my chest down to my waist. And I just knew at that point it was, you know, this feeling of whoosh, relief, freedom just comes over you and you think it's done. It's done. That's it. It's done.
Yeah. Exactly the same. Look underneath and there it is, all these bandages, you've got pipes coming out everywhere. You go, oh, yeah, definitely it's been done. Because part of the surgery is that they shorten the urethra and reposition it.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a worry that, you know, it's going to close up and you're not going to be able to pee. But absolutely no problem there in that.
And is there any issues of do you worry about incontinence with the surgery?
No, Sal doesn't, and I don't normally, except for one time when she tickles me.
Tickle her feet.
I listen to absolute control. So don't tickle me until I got a pad on.
No, but there's no issues at all. What you do find, of course, coming from the point of view of once upon a time I had a dick.
Sure.
Yeah. That within the construction of a penis, you have an extra muscle. So when you need to go for a wee, because your bladder is held back by a muscle inside the body and a muscle in the penis. And of course, when the penis is now inverted and the urethra is shortened, you don't have that extra muscle. And so you think, now I need to work this. So if I'm on the motorway in a long drive, sometimes I have to work it out. Okay.
When you want to pee, you've got to go for pee.
Yeah, I'm going to pass the motorway service station at maybe Membry. Will I make it to Reading?
How did your family take the news?
That's a good question. They didn't talk about it for quite a while. I had many, many good conversations with my eldest daughter, who is non-binary. And so she knew really from the outset how I felt. My second son, Christopher, has autism. And so really he doesn't understand to any extent really sort of the ins and outs of it. My eldest son, David, very, very accepting, and his wife, and my grandsons. My grandsons have only ever known me. They've only ever known Mamsel. They never knew the old, which is lovely. My youngest daughter, of course, she was the one who said, "Oh, for God's sakes, go and buy it." So really, it was not a difficult conversation.
No. Do you have any siblings?
I have.
And how did that go?
Yeah, my eldest brother passed away 2 years ago, sadly, but he got to know me before transition. At my son's wedding, I will never forget him saying to me, "I really, really admire you for doing what you're doing." And I said, "Whoa, yeah, I didn't expect that, But yeah, so it was lovely to hear that from my brother. My relationship with my sisters and sister-in-law is closer than you've ever known.
Wow.
Yeah, we are forever out for food together. We go for meals, we go shopping together. It's absolutely fun. We actually have some wonderful photographs of us all, Claire included, with my sisters, and we all just go.
That's lovely.
I have one brother in Australia who I see very rarely. He's very, very aloof anyway. I wish I actually did have a better relationship with him. He's tends to not answer the emails and doesn't answer any text messages. But then you find he's like that with most people. It's not just me. That's life, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. It takes all sorts of people to make the world go round.
Yeah, it does.
Were your parents still living when you...
No, they both passed away.
Okay.
My dad passed away 2001, and my mum passed away 2008. That's a sad thing, I think. I think my mum would have liked me. She would have liked the person I became. Because, of course, before I transitioned in 2008, it had affected me to such a point that my weight had spiraled up to 28 stone. I was a walking, talking heart attack waiting to happen. Could barely walk upstairs. Couldn't sort of drive properly and work. And, I think my mum passed away before she saw me lose the weight. Before she saw the things that I actually entered, the races I used to do, the marathons I used to run. And it would have been lovely maybe for her to meet the real me. I'm not a big believer in the paranormal, but 2 years after she passed away, we were down in Southampton for a carnival. An old gypsy lady came out of the fair. By spring of lucky had idea. And normally I'd say sort of, sorry, I'm Polish. Pretend to get headphones in. Sorry, I didn't hear you. But I just got a KFC with a bag full of hot wings. And I had £1 coin in my pocket. I said, yeah, you go, love. That was the conversation, nothing else. And as she walked away, she turned around and she said, your mother knew, And I hadn't transitioned at that point. I hadn't even told anyone. It was just the weirdest thing to say. Your mother knew,
That just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, that was it. She walked away. Even to this day, I don't believe in that sort of thing, but I think even to this day, I still look back and think, did she really say that? She did. And it does give some kind of comfort, I think, that my mum possibly did know. When I was growing up, I remember playing, she said, bear in mind, I had 2 brothers, 3 sisters, then me. My mum was saying that when she was carrying me, she was convinced there was another girl because of the way she was carrying. And then out you popped. And I remember thinking, oh my God, how close are you to the truth? And being unable to say anything.
Of course.
Yeah, so I think to some degree she knew.
That's a lovely thought.
I'd like to think she did.
Sure. How do you think your dad would have reacted?
I don't know. In his later life, he mellowed. Bear in mind that when he was ruling the family with an iron rod, he was holding down a job in the steelworks, working 12 hours a day in the heat of the furnace, coming home to a house full of kids. And when he was tired, not earning enough money to actually keep a family of 6. We were 6 children, and mum and dad grew up in a 3-bedroom house, sharing a bedroom, sort of head to foot in the bed. And so I can look back, probably the reason why he was argumentative and such a grumpy sort was because of the life he's been forced to live. So do I hold anything against him for it? No, I don't.
Do you have childhood friends that you're still in contact with?
All of them.
That's amazing.
All of them. Yeah. Everyone knows. I don't hide from anyone. And in fact, we've actually named the house in that respect. The house is actually called Dunhiden. And it's a take, isn't it, on Dunroman? Yeah, but we've got it's spelled D-U-N and then Hyde, H-Y-D-E.
As in Jekyll and Hyde.
As in Jekyll and Hyde. And so Dunhiden. We don't hide from anyone.
So it's a new community for you, or a new village, a new area.
Yeah.
How are you welcomed into that area?
Fantastically well. You wouldn't believe. Absolutely wonderful. We live in the close, and there's 15 houses. We have no shops, but 2 pubs. We walk down to the village pub and we take the dog for a walk, and everybody knows Powder the dog. Everybody makes a fuss of him in the pub. We are treated just like anybody else. There's no need to feel like you don't belong. It's a very, very welcoming and lovely place to live.
Yeah.
Was that something that you had a concern about? Was it something that crossed your mind?
It's always a concern because after I got divorced, I rented a house. The place I rented the house, the street I rented the house in, was quite a rough area, but very, very community orientated. And the neighbours were just amazing. Everybody looked out for each other. And I think, I've been divorced for 6 years. I met Claire. We're buying a house together.
Mm.
Oh my God, I wonder what this is going to be like. What are the neighbours going to be like?
Absolutely lovely.
It's fab.
They've welcomed us so well.
One of the other houses in the close, the cousin, I think, the child, I obviously can't give any names, but the child is gender non-conforming, 6 years old. When we moved in and we were talking to the mum and dad, they said it's like the weight of the world has been lifted off our shoulders because we don't feel we're on our own anymore. And I think, God, it's been worth it. It's been worth it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we actually live in a small village called 5 Roads. Because there's 5 roads in and out. And it's right in the middle of the countryside, and we look over the bay, over Carmarthen Bay one way, and the Gower Peninsula the other way, on fields and countryside, and it's just so quiet. It's
stunning.
Yeah.
How did you meet Claire?
Oh, right.
There's an online app called Her, which is for lesbian relationships and
trans people,
and for trans people as well. I've been on there for a while. Not much had really happened. I just happened to be on the app on 2nd of January 2022.
It was.
And that's like, and this person came up called Sal Howells, and she looked all right.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I looked at her profile and said, music, likes music and walking and exercise, and she's going to be interesting to chat to. So I swiped right. I had the app set to a reasonable distance for travel. So I'd set it for about 70 miles.
As had I.
As a Sal. And so I swiped right. Didn't think anything more of it until late in the evening. And then Sal had spotted that somebody had liked her and looked at my profile and obviously saw something in me because she also swiped right.
But the weird thing is that I'd set my app for like a radius of 70 miles, and Claire's done the same.
Yeah.
And we'd never met because the distance, Claire's from Southampton, and I'm in Wales. Of course, the distance is 186 miles.
Of course.
And so, of course, the two Venn diagrams were never crossed. But I'd actually been in Bath for the day on that same day when we actually swiped right.
If any other day, any other time,
we never met.
And this is when both of you you hadn't had your surgery, so you're still all that process. Yeah.
We both knew each other was trans straight away, but we both had it on our profiles, and weren't hiding any of that.
Yeah. We fast forward a little bit, and you decide you're meant for each other. It was fate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You go through the same process, and you're each other's support at the same time, which is so important.
Yeah, well, see, bear in mind, Claire had surgery at the end of September.
Yeah.
And so when she was discharged from hospital, she came to my house in Llanelli, and she recovered at my house. Yeah. And so, of course, when she was recovering, I knew, because I was doing the aftercare for her and preparing things, and so I knew what was to come.
Well, one of the aftercare that we do is called dilation, which we have to do regularly to make sure that the vagina doesn't seal up or close up.
Sure.
And so we end up doing mutual. I was
mutual at the same time.
It's not mutual dilation. We do
it for you.
We do it at the same time. So we get laid on the bed, and we can have a chat, watch telly, but we're doing the same. We're doing the same thing.
We were in Spain, Kevin. Back in March. And bear in mind, at that point, I think I was through surgery 5, maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
And we'd gone hiking in week 6 in the Caminito del Rey. But we're coming back from Malaga, and my dilators were in the hand luggage. Coming back from Malaga, it went through the scanner. It's clearly sort of flagged up a suspicious item.
A long
the very, very attractive young lady on the security desk pulled them out in the pouch.
Yeah.
And she said, "What are these? What are these?"
In Spanish.
We could. And we were trying to reply in English.
Yeah. She couldn't speak English. We couldn't speak Spanish. Yeah? I start pointing up between my legs, and the look on her face when she suddenly realised what she's got in her hand, and the look of shock, and then she just dropped them, and pretty much said, "Go." And of course, I'm the next one through the scanner.
Oh no! And you have one in your bag.
I've got them I've got a set in my bag as well. And the same thing comes to me, opens them up, looks at me, looks at them, looks at me.
Just go.
a burning question I have actually. So you were both married to the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So you both had wives.
Both have the same name.
A strange coincidence. Now you're both women.
Yes.
Do you identify as lesbians?
Yes.
I'm bi.
Okay.
We're in a lesbian relationship.
Yeah.
So then how does that relate to identifying as a trans?
Most times it doesn't really come into it now. We're day to day we're women.
That's it. Yeah, the in every aspect of life. The from work to physical body shape.
Obviously, we have an interest. We look out for articles about trans rights and that, but on a day-to-day basis, no,
we just carry on and live our lives the same as anybody else.
A couple of mad women,
A couple of mad women. I love that. Yeah. Do you relate to the LGBT community? If you look at a flag, do you feel like does that represent you?
To some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
I don't need the support of a Pride organisation.
Yeah.
Pride is lovely. Yeah, Pride's fantastic. If I want to go for a drink in a pub, I go to the local pub.
Yeah.
If I want to go to a nightclub, I'll go to a nightclub. And I don't need to go to a gay bar, and I don't need to go to a gay nightclub.
Yeah.
I'll go to a nightclub. I'll go to a pub. If I want to go to the pub for a drink and get drunk, I'll go to my local. Yeah. With the farmers and drink with the lads. It's absolutely fine.
We're both confident in ourselves, and that it doesn't bother us where we go.
Yeah. Pride exists for a reason.
People forget that it's a protest.
Yeah, it's a protest
rather than a celebration.
And they tend to forget as well. Pride actually starts where the Stonewall riots actually started, and of course Stonewall actually started with black transvestites, black trans women, and not with gay people. So that's the origins of the Stonewall riots.
Trans women were involved right from the very beginning.
You see, but then you get all these organisations, gender critical organisations, trying to do to exclude trans people from the LGBTQ community. And I think, well.
But saying that, you do have to be careful on where you go in the world.
Oh, of course we do.
There are certain countries that we would not even want to transit through, let alone stop at.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Caitlyn Jenner?
Money buys you everything.
She's not a great advert for the trans community.
Nobody knows the extent of her gender dysphoria more than she will know. And it's very, very easy for people on the outside to sit back and think, you're a multimillionaire, you can afford all the surgeries you want without any delay. Other people have to wait. Mere mortals have to just wait and sort of take their turn. Of course, I don't know her personally. So how can I even sort of say that I think she's this or she's that? I don't know. She might be a very, very lovely person. But probably is. I was due to go into theatre, and you're signing off the consent forms. And the surgeon said, please be aware this surgery is totally irreversible. And I said,
no shit, Sherlock.
I think that was about it. I don't want it back. So I think the path to surgery is actually designed, even though it seems tortuous when you're on it, it's designed to make sure that every step of the way that you are able to have time to evaluate.
These stories are bandied around in the media saying, like, for example, under 16s, they're rushed into it. It's, the doctors are going to do the surgery within 6 months. It doesn't happen. They could be on the waiting list for years.
Yeah.
So my next question is, you've had the surgery. You're now this wonderful person that you always wanted to be. Do you stop having therapy?
I think you become your own therapy. The only therapy I now have is an after check with the surgeon. But aside from that, then that's it. You're signed off.
You're pretty much on your own. It's up to you.
Yeah. You carry on, you live your life. You do what you want to do. You go about your business and live your life. You be the person you are.
In actual effect, it's sort of a fairy tale story.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young child who would approach you and saying, I don't feel as a boy or girl, I feel as the opposite sex? What advice would you give them? And how would you explain the process, and how would you make them feel like that was okay? And maybe they've had that conversation with their parent, and their parent is just saying, you don't know what you're talking about, and kind of like isn't able to digest that information.
To be honest, I think the conversation would probably be more directed with the parent. I think if you try to actually have that conversation with the child, you're very, very quickly going to alienate yourself from the parent and from other people. It would probably just be words of comfort saying well, if you like, asking mum and dad to actually come and have a chat with me and then go from there. Because I think if you were to try and explain that to a 5-year-old child and the parents took exception to it, then you're going to leave yourself wide open to all kinds of accusations and find yourself in the front of the Daily Mail, very, very quickly. And so it's very, very difficult conversation to have with the child. But then
it puts you in a vulnerable spot, doesn't it?
It does. But then, there are organizations who actually go around the schools. There's one called Diversity Role Models who actually go to speak in schools.
Yeah, and there's an organisation in the UK, Mermaids.
Yeah,
and they deal a lot with trans children. They've got lots of information on their website to help.
What is your stance on the big conversation that you would hear about everywhere in the UK at the moment about toilets?
Oh, toilets! I think it's you need to go where you present. The thing is, if I need to go for a pee, I go for a pee in the ladies, and that's end off. I have a fanny.
Yeah.
I go for a pee in the ladies. I know lots of natural-born women who are, by their own admission, quite butch-looking. I know personally of 2 who have been accused of being male in the female toilet. I think it's quite a sad place. I think gender-neutral toilets have a place, but then I don't think they have a place in some places. The design of them, for example, has got to be right, isn't it? You go into lots of places now, and the toilet is just a sealed room with a loo and a wash-hand basin,
right,
and a hand dryer, and that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need an entrance hallway. It's always a difficult one. When I was first transitioning, bear in mind I'd used a men's toilet and stood to pee all my life. Now you've actually transitioned into this other person, and you need to use a loo. And you are quite often worried about your appearance. And it's a horrible thing to say, but people say this horrible word is, do I pass? Yeah? Do I pass as female? Do I pass as male? You worry that people are going to call you out, that people are going to abuse you in the loo when you just want to go for a pee.
And has that happened before?
No, never.
Not for me either. But when you first start to transition, that is one of the most terrifying things. Going into the ladies' bathroom for the first time, you think everything that everything you've heard, you think it's going to happen to you. Somebody's going to be confronted. You're going to get attacked or choked out. Police are going to get called. But in actual fact, everybody's just going in there to do the same thing.
But you try to explain to people now. If somebody actually wanted to target women, they would do it.
They wouldn't dress up.
But how many times do you actually go into a motorway service station and there'd be a sign on the door saying cleaning in process, male attendant.
I read that last night.
So if somebody is actually of that persuasion that they actually want to go and attack women, then they're not going to go to the trouble of having hormones and surgery, and they're just going to do it. They're just going to do it.
It's a false argument.
But you try to explain to people that you get this thing that the Primark are letting men into the changing rooms to change with women and girls. And again, it's blown out of all proportion, in my opinion.
It's the trans people are the current, bogeyman or bogey person to the media. 20 years ago,
it was gay people.
They were saying the same thing about gay. Gays shouldn't be allowed into the toilet.
And before that, it was blacks.
Your children.
That's right.
People.
That's right.
And people came across a Windrush. You could actually walk around London in the 70s and 60s and 70s, and you see boarding houses with signs saying no Jamaicans.
No blacks.
No blacks, no Jamaicans. And in the 80s, you had
no gays,
and you had HIV and AIDS. It was the gay scourge, and gay people are the cause of this world.
And then we had the Conservative Party government section 28 saying you can't say gay in school. You can't teach any about gay.
And of course, in many parts of the states, isn't it? It's actually heading back that way, which is actually quite worrying.
It's very scary.
It is.
It's very, very scary.
I think I've only got 2 rules in life. Rule number 1 is don't be an asshole. And rule number 2 is if you find yourself becoming an asshole, refer to rule number 1. Don't be an asshole. Just treat people the way that you want to be treated back.
It's very simple, isn't it?
Just be nice to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who might say, why, after all these years, 49 years, why did you go ahead with the surgery? Why were you so selfish? And you broke up a marriage and you broke up a family, and why did you have to do that?
I was suicidal. Yeah, I tried to take my own life at 14 years old, and that was because I was trans. And at 14 years old, didn't know what to do about it, didn't know who to see, who to do, had nobody to talk to. And then, of course, left school, became an apprentice, got a job as a plumber, got married, had kids, moved away, got a good job, bought the car, bought the house. It eats away at you every waking minute of every waking day. And I found myself at 49 years old in such a dark place that I'd actually written letters to the kids. You know, there was one thing that actually stopped me. I was actually at the lakeside, in fact, and had every intention of driving the car into the lake, getting hideously drunk and driving the car into the lake. It had just come to that. I couldn't continue. And I stopped because if I had died that night, they would bury me with a headstone that said, "Here lie the mortal remains of Stuart Howells. He was a good guy." Yeah, and the fact, when my time comes, I can't bear the thought of being buried with a headstone that says he was a good guy. Sorry, it's just got to be right. And so again, that was one of the defining moments in that it was, it wasn't the worry about the mess that leave behind, about leaving people in debt, or how would the kids feel, how would people cope, and how would people live the rest of their lives. I'd never seen my kids grow. And there's none of that. It was just the fact I'd be buried with a headstone that said he. And I said, no.
You weren't going to have that. You weren't going to be defined by that.
No, not at all. So really, that was one of the pushing moments that sort of said, right, I've got to do this. I have to do this for my own sanity.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I have to. And yes, it took a long time.
Who's your role model?
Oh, David Bowie.
Why?
From a very, very young age, Bowie was my hero. I was Bowie mad. I had, at one point, a Bowie collection that should be in a museum. Yeah, that now would be worth thousands and thousands. No, I think the Bowie from an early age was the person who taught me it's okay to reinvent yourself. And then, of course, whilst being a huge mad Bowie fan, I then discovered the Fix when I was about 14. And the Fix, of course, to many people will be a band that many people in the UK will never have heard of. For me, they were a band that defined my life.
How did you discover the Fix in Wales?
Okay, I was in our local Woolworth, and they had a bargain bin, and they were for 5p each, and I would go in some weeks and just buy 40 or 50 singles, just not knowing what you're going to get, because pretty much if you bought 50 singles, one of them would be good.
That's right.
And the one of them was good was the Fix. And I bought Saved by Zero, was the first one I bought. And I still got that. And of course, that really became almost like whoa, this is a band I actually relate to. And of course, over the years, as well, we know we've all become good friends. So, there were a few songs. There's one song, for example, on Phantoms, Less Cities, Moving People. Just the words sort of resonated with me. A hand is shaking from the rubble. At least the spirit's still alive. And for me, that song actually got me through some very, very dark days. And
music is a huge...
another role model probably would be everyone in the Fix. And everybody related to the huge big family that we are. Yeah.
That's powerful. Wow. You go through transition. You've lived 49 years as Stuart.
Yeah.
What's your first day like going shopping for clothes?
Terrifying. Terrifying. Because make all these mistakes. When a girl grows up 12, 13 years old with her friends of the same age, of the same gender, they make the fashion mistakes. They make makeup mistakes. They make the hair mistakes, and they look back and they can laugh and think, "Oh my God, did we really, really think that was good?" You do the same thing. You see things on the shelf and you think, "Oh, that looks fantastic. I can wear that now." And then you get it home and you go out and you think, "Oh my God!" You see the photographs and you think, "Ah, no, just no, 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 no." Yeah, but the fashion mistakes are legendary. They're wonderful.
At least you can laugh through them.
Yeah. Some of them are still in the wardrobe.
I won't get rid of them because I look back and I think, "Oh my God, did I really wear that?"
Have you found your style?
Yes, just me.
Takes
just
a while.
Just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love what you do. Yeah.
What does the future look like for Sal and Claire?
Lots more laughs.
Yeah, lots more laughs.
Adventures.
Lots more adventures.
Yeah, there's places I want to take Sal around the world.
I don't know. Maybe something I don't know.
Don't go down that hill.
Yeah, I can't see us ever being apart.
Lovely.
I don't think so. No, I think you
We've
live your life and you're looking for your soulmate.
Yeah,
and when you find them,
we found. Yeah, we've definitely found.
Yeah, you hold them
them.
tight to them. Yeah.
It's a true love story.
Yeah, you know and it's fab because my kids get on so well with Claire, and my grandchildren as well, and I get on really, really well with Claire's kids and Claire's ex-wife. And Claire's dad, I wind Claire's dad up something rotten. You know, he's 97. He's 97. And still dancing and still lives independently. When I first met Claire's dad down in Portsmouth, he didn't come back in the car with you, didn't he? He actually came back in the car with me.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll go back in the car with Sal," because I think he had questions to ask me.
They wouldn't have asked me.
He didn't ask Claire. That he felt maybe he was unable to ask. He asked me outright, wasn't he? You know, what is this all about? I said, well, you know, you don't understand Japanese, but you know Japan exists. It's very much the same. You say you might not understand it, but it very, very much does exist. And you know, you just have to accept that what was your son is now your daughter. That your son might have been desperately unhappy without you realizing, but now your daughter is extremely happy, and she wants to tell you, and she wants you to be part of that story. And now I think it's fab because I see your dad and I wind him up something terrible.
Oh, have your children stopped calling you dad?
My children can call me dad.
Okay.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, I don't hide the fact, you see, Kevin, is that I fathered 4 kids. No matter what surgery I have, you can't get away from the fact that I'm a father to 4 children. I love my children to bits, absolutely love them to bits. But they are the only ones who get to call me dad. And my eldest daughter doesn't. She will call me sometimes just by Sal. My son, Christopher, Chris has autism. For a while, I worried about how he would understand the change. But then he would put songs on the jukebox. Yeah, he's a huge music fan. We go for a game of pool, we go for a game of snooker. He would put songs on by Kiza. Giant in My Heart, and he put Man, I Feel Like a Woman on the jukebox. You could cry, really, because that was his way of saying that he understands and he accepts. You know,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fab. There's 4 or 5 songs, I think, that really, really are quite personal. He knows what those songs are, and we quite often go out and he'll, if they go to like an internet jukebox, he'll be putting my playlist on. He knows what they are. It's just fab.
That is fabulous.
You know,
so tell me your thoughts on the hot topics in the media with trans women in sports.
Okay, then. Some things I think are absolute bullshit.
You don't have to whisper.
The latest one is fishing. Yeah, and chess. How on earth can a game of the mind?
Yeah, or a game of just throwing a line.
Yeah.
How can
a trans woman have a physical advantage in fishing over playing chess? I think every sport needs to take it in. You need to examine everything. You know, maybe weight categories.
Like they do in boxing.
Like boxing. You know, you're heavyweight, and for example, men's rugby. I know many players who are built like a brick shithouse. They're 6'6", built like a brick shithouse, 6 foot wide, and other players who are 5'5", but they play in the same team. So does this player at 5'5" feel at risk from the player who is 6'6"?
So do you think maybe there shouldn't even be any discrimination?
I think you have got to look at it on a case-by-case basis. Make no bones about it. I went through male puberty. My shoulders are wider than a naturally born female. But then there are other naturally born females who are bigger than me, taller than me, who could probably run over me in a dark alley. So it needs to be on a case-by-case basis. So if this is the case, it's been mooted that they have open categories where you can have trans people, natural born women, natural born men, all competing in one open category. It might work for some things.
I love that.
The other weird thing is, because we talk about anything here, of course we can, is that I was up in the seaside town in West Wales, Aberystwyth, and I'd gone for a wee, and one of my false boobs fell out of my bra, and it rolled under the cubicle door. I was horrified, absolutely horrified. And I thought, I hope there's next door. I just hope there's nobody there.
Yeah. And the other thing I found is before I would avoid looking in the mirror, but now, going through past shops is looking good.
I love that.
I can actually get up in the morning and actually walk past the mirror and think, good nose, they look okay, don't they? They're looking quite perky this morning.
When patients have limbs amputated,
yes,
have,
the phantom, absolutely, yeah, the phantom penis.
Yeah, but it doesn't take too long before your brain gets used to where it works out where things are, and you. Yeah.
What goes through your head the first time that you're intimate? Are you afraid?
Well, the first time was before Sal had surgery.
Yeah,
because I'd had mine 3 months before. I was in position that I was physically recovered enough to.
Yeah. Okay.
So we could have been intimate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's obviously a bit nerve-wracking. You think, oh, this is new. Am I going to do any damage?
Yeah. But the funny thing was is that we actually tried to do it conventionally, shall we say, with the parts that I used to have. After years of hormone treatment, it's like pushing up a rope. But when I came out, I was quite determined that I would be an open book. Nothing would be hidden. I never, ever, ever want to be in my life to be looking over my shoulder and thinking, oh, somebody knows something and they're going to tell somebody. Yeah, I think the common denominator is the fix. And music,
Yeah.
And I've known Kev for how many years? Too many, I think.
I remember getting the text message from you saying, I have something to tell you.
Yes, that would have been 2015. Yeah. And so we've been aware of each other for long before.
Definitely.
And have known each other online through a shared love of music. And of course, Kev's husband, Nick, is the Fix's producer.
Yeah.
My love of prog and the kind of music that Kev hates.
I don't hate.
That's why you're married to it. We know each other through a shared love of music, and
which is a wonderful community,
and many things in common over the years.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think probably the first time I met you would have been probably at one of Nick's gigs.
It was in 2001, August 2001 in Swansea. Yeah,
crazy.
The Patty Pavilion. Yeah, a hot August night. Yeah.
It was a joy to speak to you, Sal and Claire. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future, because I have a feeling there will be lots more laughs, lots more things to celebrate.
Oh, yes. Watch this space. We're saying nothing for now. Yeah, but watch this space. I'm sure in a few years' time something might.
I can't wait.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love you both, and I appreciate you having this conversation.
Oh, you're very, very welcome.
Totally enjoyed it.
And I'll see you soon. Thank you very, very much for doing this.
You're very, very welcome.